And that's why I think if you over prepare too much, you know the world of your character, but if you're preparing responses, then you're not acting anymore. You're just kind of performing something. So being able to listen to every individual where they're coming from is imperative.
This is the Faith and Family Filmmakers podcast, helping filmmakers who share a Christian worldview stay in touch, informed, and inspired. Quiet on set. Rolling. Today's host is Matt Chastain.
All right, we are back with another exciting and really fun episode chatting with my friend and actor extraordinaire, Mr. Todd Terry. And look, for the sake of hopping back into the conversation, which is far more interesting than me reading an intro to you, I'm not going to read his bio again. If you haven't listened to the latest episode, the last episode, I would encourage you to go back and check it out or check out Todd Terry on IMDb. Okay, so I teased a little bit in the last episode talking about the future of Todd Terry. As all of you guys know, Todd Terry is Detective Travis in Vindication. But this is funny, Todd. I've seen you, obviously, in a lot of things, but there were 2 nights in a row I sat down with my family recently, and I watched, or not with my family, with my wife, I watched an episode of 1923, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's Todd. I know that guy. Look at that mustache. The very next night, I sit my family down to watch an episode of The Chosen, and I'm like, oh, look, there's Todd Terry on The Chosen. And so I see Todd Terry on 2 of the most popular shows in the country on 2 nights in a row. But I noticed something. I was like, oh, man, whether it's Vindication, where you obviously play a detective, or The Chosen, where you're a Roman guard, or you're 1923, where you're a sheriff with a giant mustache, you're sort of in this lane of Todd's playing cops.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I played a lot of DEA, whatever, in my career, which I'm grateful for. But I'm hoping to mix it up more as we go along, and hopefully do some stuff like more comedy, because I tend to do a lot of drama.
Gene, are you listening? He wants comedy. Wait, you're on Treasure Coast, right?
Yeah, that's one of the.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I have a couple that are coming out that are in that vein, that are more comedic ones, more of a biblical times comedy called Empty Nets. I don't know when it's coming out, by Nathan Blair, and one called Fairwood that should be coming out. It's an episodic, just on regular TV, Tubi or something like that. So anyway, that's what I want to do more of, because I get too serious, and so I want to do some fun stuff too.
I'm always blown away by actors who can do comedy and drama so well. I mean, think about real life. There are certain people who are just serious. They're serious people, and they're just not funny. And then there are people who are funny in real life, but when they try to be serious, nobody believes them. So being an actor who can pull off both, how do you approach that?
Well, a lot of comedy it's just being serious in the moment, and that's what makes it funny. I mean, the person that came to mind is, who's the most serious actor I could think of? Tommy Lee Jones. Very serious and never say, but then when he did Men in Black, he was funny because he was playing off these real absurd situations. Ben Stiller's a great example of just the small little things, but it's all based in reality, that make his stuff so funny.
That's a good point. Depends on the writing, right?
Yeah, 100%. Again, good writing does everything. I mean, it allows you as an actor just to do your job, and you don't have to add a ton to it. It's just trust the writer.
Yeah, you don't have to be Will Ferrell, right? You can be Bryan Cranston's a good example, right? Think about what he did on the farce of Malcolm in the Middle. But then he also went to the Breaking Bad role, which is, there was nothing funny about that. And I think the difference really is he's a brilliant actor, but obviously in the writing as well.
Well, and I see all these clips of like Seinfeld with him, Bryan Cranston, and he's cracking Jerry up. And I'm like, it's just because he's so serious in the moment, it makes it hilarious. And that is trusting what the writer's written for you to do. I'm not saying you don't bring anything to it as an actor, but it is in the writing.
I think what you do bring it to it in the actor, especially if you're trying to play a dry role where people are bouncing off of you, is being able to remain dry and remain serious and have your character not really know that funny things are going on around them and not respond to the funny. That's what makes it funny, right?
Yeah. I'm just thinking of so many funny things. I was thinking of Ben Stiller and Meet the Fockers and him saying that prayer, and it's that song, These Things I Pray Day by Day. I forgot what it is, but it's so simple and so funny because he's so serious about it.
Well, De Niro in that series, De Niro,
He's a great example of just
come on. I've talked to a lot of actors about De Niro's view on acting when he talks about how most of acting is suppressing emotion rather than emoting itself, because that's what people do.
Yeah, I do. That's interesting. I think that's where we talk about learning things as you go along. There's such as a young actor, you tend to want to go for, I've got to be emotional. I've got to get in touch with that thing. And you're right. So much of it is about what you're not showing and allowing the audience to experience it through you fighting that. And they see you fighting and struggling through that thing. So it's not always about bawling, crying. I'm not saying there's not times for that, but it's about trying not to go to that place and allow the audience to go there instead of you.
Yeah, as an audience, we want to see
Yeah.
you fighting the emotion. When I see that, that's when I'm really with you, right? Because that's real life. I want to talk more some tools and techniques that professional actors use because, well, I'm going to go back to Vindication for a second. You guys probably shoot more pages in a day than a lot of big, giant Hollywood blockbuster movies because, frankly,
Yeah.
you have to. And so simple memorization becomes, I would think, becomes a challenge when you're having to shoot. What do you guys shoot? 8, 10 pages a day?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty common, absolutely. I think the most we've shot today was 16 pages, heavy dialogue, but we get through it. And a lot of that is
Yeah.
attributed to having a really good crew around you, and everything's going to run smoothly, and we just you go, you go, you go. But yeah, I would say 16 is a lot. And I know some filmmakers that are putting out several movies a year, but they're like 1, 2 takes and let's move on because they're shooting 20 plus pages in a day. That's a lot.
I think Tyler Perry's studios in Atlanta, Tyler Perry does like 30.
Yeah, I heard some crazy number like 60 plus on some of his stuff, and I don't know if that's true, but and I think there's a point where you're going to lose quality because you're just rushing to get it done versus taking some time. But
There's going to be zero continuity too. Zero continuity.
finding that sweet spot that works for the producers and the actors is great. But
But if you're doing 10 to 16 pages a day, how do you approach memorization in that sense? When you all get your sides and you've got 16 pages in a day, how do you approach memorization?
there's two ways. So if I'm going on a set that I've never been on before, I'm going to prep. I'm going to do a lot more prep ahead of time. A show like Vindication, it's not that I'm not going to do prep. It's just I'm not as concerned about my lines like weeks before because one, I want to be fresh. And it's easier for me because I'm not worried and stressed out like being on a set where you don't know anybody. And you're like, oh, I don't want to screw up. And so I have an app. It's called Cold Read. And if you're an actor out there, I highly recommend it. It allows you to tape the other person's lines along with yours and play them back and forth. So as soon as the other person reads on the app, you start your line. As soon as you finish your last line, it picks up their line. So it's almost having a fluid conversation on the app. It's a great one. You can actually record on the app as well. That's really helpful because I can play that over and over again because you can memorize your lines, but it's really being able to listen to the other person's lines that bring any scene alive. Listening is such an important part of acting. So I think the more you're able to hear those other lines and bring yours to life because of your response to that, it's huge. So it's a great app. Highly recommend. Other than that, I don't have any special techniques other than just going over them and over them and over them. And then trying to understand, the gist of why I'm saying what I'm saying.
But do you take an hour during when they're changing the set or flipping the world? Are you taking that time and just memorizing this scene and concentrating on this scene? And then when we go to the next one, we rehearse. And then while they're setting everything up in your makeup, now you're memorizing the next scene. Is that kind of how you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not memorizing on the day. I'm memorizing at least the day before, especially on something like Vindication, because every day is a full new set of lines. So I don't want to overload my brain. I'll look at the lines overall and start working on them a little bit, but not letting them sink in. And then the day or two before, depending, I'm hitting them harder so that on the day they're pretty fresh there. Then it becomes a matter of running it with castmates and allowing it to be fresh in the moment and not over rehearsed.
100%. Well, let's talk castmates then, because acting is reacting as much as it is anything, right? Scene partners mean so much when you have a scene partner that there's this one guy I've shared a scene with. He had a big role on Ozark. He's kind of at that level. But being in a scene with this guy, he can have no lines, and there's something about him that will pull you into the hypnosis. That's kind of what I call it when I'm there and I'm in character and I know that this is not a real world, but yet it is. I'm in the hypnosis, and just looking in this guy's eyes will pull you into a hypnosis. So that's what I find the value of scene partners. When the better they are, obviously the better you are. So you had a chance to work with, on Vindication and others, some really, really great actors.
Yeah, and everyone's different, and that's why I think if you over prepare too much, you know the world of your character, but if you're preparing responses, then you're not acting anymore. I mean, you're just kind of performing something. So being able to listen to every individual where they're coming from is imperative. I mean, that's what brings it to life and makes it fun, and also doesn't make it stale, because you're always listening from where they're coming from based on the problem that you have as the character and whatever it is you're trying to overcome. Yeah, it wouldn't be any fun just by yourself.
No, but can you think of any stories, though, specifically when you were sharing a scene with someone and there was just something about the moment that on cut, you just knew that something special had occurred because of how amazing that scene partner was?
I don't have anything just jumping to mind. I can think of times where I was doing something based on what I felt like I was getting from the other actress, and it was a well-known actress, but see, this is the interesting, when you come into somebody else's set as a guest star or a co-star, there's a world already created there. And the great thing about this was that the guy that I was also working with, he said, "Hey, remember, you're my friend in this," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I'm going off what she's giving me. Yeah, I know, but you are my friend. And it changed how I approached the scene. And I'm glad he did it, because that's his world. It's not my world. And you have to be willing to kind of come in there and take some direction, even sometimes from actors. And actors are very finicky about like wanting to hear any kind of correction from another actor. You have to be careful, but it was a good thing in this. It was not said. It was just like, keep this in mind. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Maybe he was like almost giving you permission.
Yeah, it was, but he was also bringing in something that I didn't really take into account. The whole fact that I was friends with this guy that's not established in the scene in a big way gave me a different take on how I would respond to this other actor in the scene. And it helped me in the long run, because he knew the big world that they're trying to show, especially as it related to this scene. So, but yeah, there's been a lot of great people I've worked with. I couldn't single anybody out, but you can always tell if there's someone who's there to play, or if there's somebody there who's like, these are my lines, I'm going to do it the same way every time. They're not listening to you, and that's no fun.
When I see you and, say, Venus Monique on camera together, she's a pretty amazing actress herself. And so it feels like you and her really have good kind of partner chemistry, not only as Travis and her character's name I forget, but as actors.
Yeah, I love working with her. I mean, I love working with all my castmates, but she's definitely one that I just feel like I don't have to do anything. I can just sit there and listen and play off her. It's just allowing that energy, for lack of a better word, that's there to allow that scene to grow. She's wonderful to work with. So is Peggy. So is Steve. They're all great.
Oh, yeah.
I never want to single anybody out, but since you brought her up, she's awesome.
You can single people out when you're saying nice things about them. Steve will get over it, right? I've seen him give you crap on social media, so
gosh.
You can single him out in any way you want. I just became friends with him. He friend requested me, and I'm like, where's this guy been all my life? He's hilarious.
He's the biggest trash talker there is. I mean, if you just follow his Facebook feed, it's like he's constantly got this rolling dialogue between him and his wife. And I don't even know if his wife said any of this stuff, but it's always like how his wife's putting him in his place. He's really funny.
We're talking about Steve. I don't even know how you pronounce his last name. Okay?
Steve Mokate.
Mokate. Yeah. He plays Sergeant Tomlinson, for those of you who are wondering we're talking about. But yeah, that's the beauty of having castmates that you've been working with for years and years and years. They become like family. And as is proof in Vindication, the quality of it just gets better and better. So I know you're an actor outside of Vindication, obviously. Like I said, I saw you in 1923. I hope to see more of you in the Taylorverse, by the way, because I think that's a great fit for you. And he likes to use the same actors over and over again a lot. So hopefully, I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you, but hopefully you'll get to do more in the Taylorverse.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been fortunate. I've gotten to work in that universe twice. I worked on Lioness, I think sometime last year, and then 1923. And you never know. I mean, there's other shows of his, and then these incentives that are hopefully going to get passed will be a big boon for Texas and hopefully more of that kind of production. But yeah, in fact, that's another thing other than the comedy, Westerns. I've always loved Westerns. And I got to do one about a year ago that, I don't know if you know Micah Lyons. He's a director. He was the director on this, and hopefully that's going to come out, hoping in the next year. I don't know the title because they've changed it, but it's got some good actors in it, and it's a lot of fun. But I get to full on play an 1800s Western. So it's a blast.
Are you a filmmaker or storyteller with a passion for faith-driven narratives? The Purpose Film and Media Festival is calling all creators to showcase their work at this year's event, happening August 7th through the 9th, 2025. This three-day festival is more than just screenings. It's a celebration of storytelling that inspires and uplifts. Join industry leaders like Cameron Arnett, Tyler Sansom, Gene Wenger, and Justin Overlander for workshops, keynote sessions, and networking opportunities. Whether you're a seasoned filmmaker or just starting out, you'll find a community eager to support your vision. Submit your film, script, or project today at purposefest.net and be part of a movement that celebrates purpose-driven media. Don't miss your chance to be featured among the best in Christian cinema. Purpose Film and Media Festival. Building the kingdom, one story at a time.
One thing the Taylorverse has done is kind of brought Westerns, kind of another resurgence of Westerns into the zeitgeist.
Wow.
Well, not only that, but I don't know about you, but since Val Kilmer died a couple weeks ago, my feed is now filled with Tombstone clips. And going back and realizing what a just perfect movie that was and what a perfect performance Val Kilmer puts on in that movie. So God bless Westerns in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say he was underrated because he was well known for what he does, but he was such a skilled actor. I mean, I've seen even, what was that one where they had the robbery at the bank? It was real well known. It was him, Al Pacino, and I forget the name of it, but a real well known one. But they were talking about how even military guys looked at how he, I don't know if it was an AR or what it was, how he loaded it and went right back into shooting. He said it was so skilled, you could tell he practiced and practiced and practiced. That's what it takes, to be great. And he was
respecting the craft.
Yeah.
It's respecting the craft. He wasn't going to, do the Doors movie unless he could sing exactly like Jim Morrison. One thing that drives me nuts is, if you're an actor out there, never agree to do this. If you don't play guitar, never let them put a guitar in your hand, because everybody who plays guitar is going to know you're not playing that guitar. And I think, just like you're talking about Val Kilmer, it makes me think that person doesn't respect the craft of acting. Don't do anything that you're obviously not doing.
No, you're right. There's so many little avenues you have to understand. And, that's another thing for actors. Life experience is so important. So the more you can learn about anything and other things, it's great. Another language or whatever it may be, it really helps to bring that life experience so it translates on film.
100%. All right, so what's the next big thing for Todd Terry? You mentioned some projects that you have coming up. Well, this is a question I meant to ask you before I get to there. How long are you willing to go with Vindication? I mean, if this thing goes, I feel good that you guys are going to get a season 5. It's going to be super successful on Angel, and they're just going to want to sign you to a 3-4 year contract. You willing to keep going with Detective Travis, or do we need to let Jared know that he's going to lose his guy?
You're going to get me in trouble one way or another here.
That's the goal.
It would be nice. I kind of leave my expectations at the door every season because it's been a bit of guerrilla warfare for Vindication as far as, we would shoot 2 episodes, not know if we'd go on to another 2. And I will shout out to Redeem TV, who has really been the biggest player in this and allowing Vindication to do what it has. But I would absolutely, as long as the stories are interesting and you guys always write, including you because you're part of it, write great stories. Yeah, as long as the character's interesting and I don't feel like we're just repeating a bunch of stuff just to do it. Yeah, I definitely would be on board. But as far as other things that are going on right now, I'm getting ready to shoot a movie called Christmas at the Cabin with one of my other castmates who is in Vindication. I won't say who it is. You can look it up on IMDb. And it's actually, she wrote it. It's Marianne. I'll just say it. But she wrote it.
Oh, because I'm looking it up right now.
I just gave it away. But she wrote it and is shooting in Colorado, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's a comedy. That's next on my agenda. And then I've got some movies that are coming out hopefully in the next year. One called The Senior with Michael Chiklis. It's kind of been out there for a while, but it just hadn't made it to the screen. This other Western, and then a comedy series called Fairwood that I'm hoping is going to come out this year. Other than that, it's audition to audition, waiting for the next gig. So it's fun.
That's awesome. Well, it takes a lot to be an actor and it takes a lot of faith, right? That's why I think knowing the Lord and placing your faith in God is such a huge help to being an actor, because you don't know where it's coming from next, and it's best not to stress about it and just let God put you where he wants you, right?
Yeah, no, there's so many years of you just don't know when you're going to work. And when you love to do something, it's nice to know that you have hopefully another job coming up. So I just even appreciate the opportunity to audition, because I kind of go in those with, I'm going to get this, but I also am not incredibly disappointed if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of have to have that attitude, is that I'm not just fruitlessly doing this hoping I'm going to get it. I'm committed to getting it, but I may not. And that's the attitude you have to develop, I think. At first, as an actor and you're newer in the business, it hurts a lot. You're like, oh, there's so much rejection. But you can't live in that world too long, or it'll just destroy you, and you'll become bitter. And that's not good either.
Well, Todd Terry, I'm not going to take too much more of your time up. We just want to thank you so much for coming on the Faith and Family Filmmakers podcast, and we look forward to seeing you in all your upcoming projects. Tell them how they can find you on social media are you an X guy? Where do people follow you?
I don't do X. I don't think I have an X account. Instagram is the simplest thing for me. I just do one and then it propagates to Facebook. So I think I have a profile, Todd Terry Actor, on Facebook, but at Todd Terry Actor on Instagram is probably the simplest place where I post things that are coming up, that kind of thing.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks for listening to the Faith and Family Filmmakers podcast. If you've been enjoying this podcast, take a moment to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to support the production of this podcast, you can leave a tip at faffpodcast.com/support. Bringing filmmakers together for faith and family.